Hi, I'm Simon. Welcome to another video from Havas Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a sweet potato and butternut squash soup. So to get started, we'll take a look at the ingredients. We're going to need at least 500 grams of sweet potato, that'll be peeled and diced. Then there'll be a butternut squash. Now this one is 1200 grams, obviously that's before peeling and dicing. We'll then need 1 tablespoon of any vegan sweetener such as agave syrup, which is what I'll be using, or you could use maple syrup or coconut honey. Then there'll be 2 onions, they'll be roughly chopped, 2 garlic cloves chopped, 1 teaspoon each of ground cinnamon and ground nutmeg, and then a litre of vegetable stock. After that there'll be just 100 ml of coconut milk and salt and pepper to taste. So before we start chopping, the first thing to do is get your oven preheated. So I'm going to put mine onto fan assisted, and that will be 200 centigrade. If you're not using a fan, it'll be 220. So what you want to do is get the sweet potato and butternut squash into the oven as soon as possible. So I'm going to start by peeling both of those. Just need a bowl. Okay, that's that done. And the butternut squash. So that's the sweet potato and the butternut squash peeled. Just empty those. So obviously the next step is to chop both of those. That's a little bit easier for the sweet potato than it is the butternut squash. So they just need to be roughly chopped. And just try and make them equal sizes because we're going to roast them. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put those straight into the baking tray so that I've got a bit more space. Chances are you'll need 2 baking trays for this. I'm going to put a tablespoon of oil. You can use any oil you want. I'm using vegetable oil. And just drop all of that straight into there and coat it. For the butternut squash, obviously there are seeds which you need to take out as well, so what I do is just chop the ends off. And then just start to cut it into discs. Then it's easier just to cut those clumps of seeds out. Again, try and make them just equal chunks so that they roast evenly. I'll put some of those straight into there. So just try and make it 1 layer in each tray. So that's my first tray full up. Just take the seeds out. And onto my second tray for the rest of the squash. So for these areas that have the seeds in, I just try and cut around them like this. And then just any of the bigger chunks you can just cut in half and just take those extra seeds out. So that's all of the seeded areas done, so just straight through these. And that's done, so just get an even layer in there again. Just chuck the oil in. So with the oil, you also add half a tablespoon in each tray of agave syrup. And obviously this will really bring out the sweetness in both of these ingredients. So give them a good sort of mix around so that you coat every piece in oil and agave. So by the time we've done that, the oven should be ready, so I'm going to put those in. So the sweet potato and butternut squash are going to be in the oven for 40 minutes. Now while they're baking, it's time to start chopping the onions and garlic. It's also a good idea at this point to boil the kettle for your vegetable stock. So I'm going to start by peeling the onion. So obviously these onions just need to be roughly chopped because eventually it's all going to be blended up anyway. So onto the garlic, so again just peel it first. So then just finely chop the garlic. So that's all chopped and ready to fry. My water is also boiled now for the vegetable stock. So I'm just going to take 4 teaspoons of powder. And top this up to a litre. Give that a quick stir. So that's ready to go in as and when we need it. So what I need now is my large stock pot and my stove. So again, we'll drop some oil into there, so it's going to be another tablespoon. And we'll get that lit. So just over a medium heat to start with. So as soon as that's ready, you can put both the onion and garlic straight into the pot and start frying straight away. wooden spoon and just stir fry that for 3 or 4 minutes, just until both of them start to soften and become quite fragrant. And once that's softened nicely, we can add the cinnamon and nutmeg. So as I said, 1 teaspoon each. So cinnamon, and nutmeg. Whip those in there, and again just give them a good stir, keep them moving. So now the spices will absorb into the onion and garlic. So once that's all nicely combined, we can add the stock. So we're adding the 1 litre stock and bring it straight up to the boil. And you just want to leave that to simmer for about 5 minutes. So you'll probably find that you've got probably 20 minutes or so until the squash and potato are finished baking. So it's a good idea just to, once that's been simmering for 5 minutes or so, just turn the heat right down so that it's almost stopped simmering. And then just cover it over so that none of the moisture escapes. And just leave that until the squash and potato are finished baking. So that's the alarm. So my potato and squash are now ready to take out of the oven, and I'm going to take those out straight away. So you're just looking for those to be nicely caramelised on the edges and nice and soft. So what we need to do now is obviously just remove the lid. So we're now just going to combine the sweet potato and the butternut squash with the onion and stock mixture. I just need that. At this point it doesn't really matter if you sort of mush up some of the sweet potato, because it's all about to be blended anyway. Again, with the rest of that, just drop it all straight in there. So at this point you can use a stick blender just to blend the entire thing if you have one. We don't have one, so I'm just going to be using my high-speed blender here, which means I'll probably need to do it in 2 batches because I don't think that would be big enough. So I need my Tupperware. So I'm literally just going to tip half of the mixture straight in. Well, you know, it all fits. So you can now just blend all of that together. Put the lid on. Obviously, one thing to look out for when you blender, if you are using a blender, is just keep an eye on the maximum liquid line that's on there. I'm well below that, so should be good to go. I'm going to blend it for a couple of minutes. After about a minute, I'll let it settle. So that's the first minute done. Now just before I do the final blend, I need to add the coconut milk and just salt and pepper. So it was 100 ml of coconut milk. And this is the full fat coconut milk. just drop that in there as well. And just thicken it up slightly and give it a little bit of a creamy texture. And then just salt and pepper. Shouldn't need too much seasoning because you've got cinnamon and nutmeg in there as well. There should be plenty of flavour in it already. So one final blend for another minute or so. So that looks about ready to me. There we have it. I'm going to tip that into my container now. You can see it's a nice thick texture. So that's the soup ready to eat. So you'll get 6 to 8 servings out of that recipe. It will store well in the fridge for up to a week, and it goes very well with bread, makes a really good lunch. You can freeze it, so all round very useful recipe to have. That's the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and we'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section down below. I'll see you in the next video.